In this series of lectures, we will try to learn SQL by using built-in tools on a Mac. So we don't have to install anything new. Everything is already included on all the recent versions of Mac OS. So over here I'm using the terminal. If you don't know how to bring up the terminal on your system, please check out my other lectures about the terminal on a Mac. I will link the video below in the description, so you can go there first if you're not aware of it. Alright, so let's start. Assuming that everybody understands how terminal works. I'm in this directory, my full path is SQL YouTube. Okay, so all the recent versions of a Mac come with this tool called SQLite 3. So that's the tool we're going to use. For more options for this tool, you can use the help and see a long list of options. Over here we don't need it. Let's say in order to start our lesson, first we have to do just type SQL3. Then let's say some file name that will be our SQL basically. So in this case we're going to use this file name called example. It's going to be our SQL database. Let's press enter. So here we got a prompt, SQL prompt. That's where we're going to enter our commands and we're going to see the output. Okay, first, so since this is the empty database, we have nothing here, we have to create our table. So let's create a table first. Our table will be animals, where we store our animals, like of different types. Over here I'm using the capitalized letters for keywords, meaning that those are the reserved keywords by SQL. Everything that is not capitalized, it's our whatever we come up with. So in this case, create table is it's a keywords, and the animals is our name of the table that we come up ourselves. All right, let's continue. So then we open the parentheses, say animal ID. For now, just follow what I type, and I'll explain later what that means. So for our animal, we need name. Let's say we need a kind of animal, like lion, tiger, or whatever. And then the color, text. Okay. At the end, every statement we will conclude with the semicolon. A lot of databases don't require it, especially with the ones that use pretty cool interface. But I think just it's a good habit to always put the semicolon at the end. There you go. Okay, so what have we done here? Again, all the capitalized letters, all the words with capitalized letters are the reserved keywords. So pay attention to those. Over here, we basically saying, all right, so let's create a table animals with name animals that contains 3 columns in the table. Actually 4 columns here. It's animal ID, name, kind, and the color. The animal ID has this type called integer. All the other columns have this type called text. Text is specific for SQLite and maybe some other databases. You might have seen something like varchar in some other databases. So basically, yeah, that's when it describes text, some sort of text, we can just say text, varchar, string, You will hear this a lot. When you hear text, varchar, or string, just assume it's the same thing, basically. When you get more advanced, you'll realize the differences. Okay, so what is this primary key? So primary key is basically to distinguish that this specific field, the specific column, animal ID, all rows in it have to be unique. So basically you won't be able to insert the animal with the same ID. It's basically, let's say you have a social security or some sort of passport number, that number is unique, right? Nobody else can have that. So in order to be able to say that in SQL, you have to say that, okay, this is primary key. This is the key. It's more complicated than that. The primary key is for something else as well, for like indexing. That we'll learn later in the lectures. For now, just every time you see primary key, you can just assume it's a unique field that prevents us from inserting the same thing, like the rows with the same ID. Okay, so now in order to view the how our table is created, basically to view the schema of our table, we can type this command called the dot schema animals, our table. Okay, you see, you'll basically say, okay, that's how we created this table. This is called the table schema. You'll probably in SQLite you'll use this command a lot. This command is specific to SQLite. In some other tables, like let's say if you're working with some other database, you can just Google how to describe a table, how to print the table schema, if you want to see same thing. I mean, this is very useful for like things like, let's say you forgot how your table looks like. You'd be like, oh, okay, was it something about what was the what's the type of a kind column? So then you can run this command and see all your types. Like over here you have a column kind, has a type text, has an animal ID which is of type integer. Integer is basically a number. Yeah, text is text, and integer is a number like 2, 3, or 4 is the number that you can do computation on. Alright, so let's now insert some data into our table. Alright, so start again, insert into animals. Now we have to describe the column names: animal ID, name, kind, color. Now we gotta say that we're gonna insert values into it. Values, our animal ID. Basically, the order that we're gonna insert the values here have to match the order that is specified here. So let's come up with a name, Robert. It's the name of our animal. Let's say it's going to be a lion, and the color will be yellow. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen yellow lion, but why not? Okay. Just to remind you, capitalized letters means the keywords. There we go. So now we inserted our first animal into our table. So let's see. Let's look at our table. What does it contain now? We would expect to see lion in there, right? Okay, so in order to read the table, we can type this command called select. Select everything. It's basically this wildcard from our animals table. There you go, and we can see it says you see this is the values that we inserted. We inserted the ID, name, kind of an animal, and the color. In some other databases, they have this helpful feature where in the first row you will see this like types of of a column, or the titles of the columns, right? Like animal ID will be one, like name will be Robert. Mostly I've seen those in in the GUI applications where you have this pretty interface, but it's not a big deal. I think once you get used to it, you'll realize how easy it is. Okay, so let's say alright, let me show you the short version of inserting the data into the column as well. I mean, try to follow this version at least from the beginning. I think will make it consistent, but just in case, I'll show you the shorter version. Before showing the shorter version, let me again show you the schema of our table. Oh, there you go. So yeah, I forgot to mention that this is the only command where we'll have to specify the semicolons. But this is just special case. You don't have to remember. Okay, so As remember, our default order is animal ID, name, kind, and color. So if you know the default order, you can use the short command for insertion. Say insert into animals values. That's ID2. It doesn't have to be like 1, 2, 3 order, but just let's use it like it could be easier. All right, so let's say Alice. Let's say this time it's gonna be tiger, and it's a white tiger. By the way, did you know that let's press enter. Did you know that the white tiger is actually not natural in nature? It's a result of breeding, and white tigers go through the hard life. They have issue with eyes, so it's every time you see the white tiger, I think it's not a best life for them. All right, let's see what's our data look like. Animals. Okay, so we got 2 animals, right? We got the Robert, who is a lion, and Alice, who is a tiger. Okay, well, let's say, for example, you don't want to see, like you don't want to select all the data, right? Like over here, we're just showing all the data in the column. Let's say if you just want to see, let's say we don't care about the color, right? We only care about the ID, name, and the type. What we can do is we can type something like this. We can actually, instead of using this character, we can actually specify what we want. So we can say animal ID, name, and the kind from. No, also get from where you're getting animals. Right, here you go. Okay, as you can see, we get our data. We get our we don't see color here, right? Like we don't see this stuff. We only see what we actually specified. So we specified the animal ID 1, name, and the kind. Also, if you actually want to reorder it, we can always say something like, by the way, on a Mac you can always go like arrow up to get to the previous command that you typed. And let's say we want a little bit different order. We want to say something like this instead. Kind, name, right? Okay, so now we see we go like animal ID, the kind, the lion, the tiger, and the name after that. Just something to remember that you can do it like this. Okay, I think last thing that we can do is we can use this where clause. We can learn that command. So let's say we wanna only output the animal that matches the ID 1. So we can say something like where ID is equal to 1, for example. Oops, did I mistype? Oh, yeah, I mistyped. Sorry, guys. Animal ID equal to 1. Here we go. So our Robert's line, and we can go like very crazy about it. We can go, let's say not just the animal ID. Let's say where, let's say the kind is a tiger. Tiger. Boom, Alice is a tiger. Here you go. Let's say I want to output everything for the tiger. We can just replace it with a star. Oh, see, I forgot. Never forget where you're getting the data from animals, from the table that we're trying to get the data. There you go. Okay, so I think that's it for this lesson, and like or subscribe, and go to my second lesson. Thank you.